Hey everybody, today there is no intro, there is no outro, and there are no commercials. This is Matt Breckwald, of course, from the Off-Farm Income Podcast, and I want to have a conversation directly with you about how this show is going to move forward today. So I'm leaving out all of that, all the intros, the outros, the commercials, all that, and focusing just on you and just on me. And that's what today is going to be about. So I am going to be asking you for your input on this at the end of the show. So please, please, please stick around. Listen for the question that's coming up. Send me an email. Write to me on the Facebook page. Call me. Reach out to me somehow. And let me know what you think. This is your show. And I want to know your thoughts, and definitely want your input on this and on the direction we're going to have moving forward. So, if I sound a little bit distracted, sorry. We've got another fox running around my place, and it hasn't killed a chicken yet because we happened to see it before it did, but we've got the full gamut going, trying to get that thing today. And I actually have my father-in-law just set him up outside, since I'm in here in the studio, set him up outside to try and get this fox for me. So we got some strategy going on. So I just got done doing that before I started recording. But okay, so here we are. This is actually our 700th episode, everybody. I didn't do an intro, so I didn't announce that right off the bat, but this is our 700th episode. And that is just a crazy number. The episodes on the Off-Farm Income Podcast, they just keep piling up. It's a really, really cool thing to be a part of and to see happen. And this has been just a fantastic ride for me, for my family, for all of us so far. And it has opened up some unbelievable doors for me, for my family. Really things I would have never, ever imagined 5 years ago, even 2 years ago, honestly. And like I said, I've got some important questions coming up for you in this episode. So please, please stick around to hear those questions, because I really, really want your input on this. And on this show, because after all, I make this show for you. So, to start off, I had zero intention about making a big deal about this being our 700th episode. I figured I did a big deal about our 500th episode. I'd do a big deal about our 1,000th episode when we get there. But coincidences of all coincidences, and I don't know, I might be one of these people who doesn't believe in coincidences, but I'm going to use that word. But just a weird coincidence. I have been having some thoughts about the direction I want this show to take, and they've been lingering thoughts, things that are in the back of my mind, me trying to figure things out. And as I've been thinking about those things, finally, it's weird how things work with me. Finally, I hit enough momentum or enough critical mass or whatever you want to call it in terms of my thoughts about something that I decide to take some action. And so this week, and there's always events and things like that shape this. But this week, I decided to take some action on this thing I've been thinking about. I spoke with Autumn about it last night, and we talked it over. And so she said, yeah, I think you should. And so I decided to sit down today and write this episode and talk to all of you about some of the thoughts that I've been having about the future of the Off-Farm Income Podcast. And when I sat down to actually put it up on the website, to write it on the website, I looked and saw that this is actually episode 700. So this actually was not planned for me to do this on like kind of a significant watershed episode number, an even number 700. It just worked out that way, which is really, really odd to me. But anyway, this is the 700th episode. Thank you all very much for enabling me to do 700 of these. I mean, it's pretty awesome. And thus why I always introduce myself as the most prolific agricultural podcaster, because I think I probably am. Okay, so let's talk about the state of the Off-Farm Income Podcast as things stand right now. So I know you're already getting the feeling, or you're already hearing me say, that a shakeup is coming. Now, there is a chance that no shakeup is coming, but if you are like me, when somebody makes a change or they start alluding to making a change, my first thought is to assume the worst, like they're in trouble, something's going wrong. And I want to assure you that the Off-Farm Income Podcast is in absolutely great shape. And our business, our overarching business here, is growing. It continues to grow. So there are no problems at all on the business side of things here in Kuna, Idaho. None whatsoever. As a matter of fact, let me give you a quick update. So 2019 is already, and here we are, we're just in mid-October, is already the best year that we have ever had from a download standpoint. No question about it. Our numbers have never, ever been stronger, and we've absolutely crushed our records for numbers of downloads in a month and average downloads per month. We're just destroying anything that we've ever done. And we've actually already just crushed our records for downloads in a year, but we've still got 2.5 months to go. And if I haven't even counted October into this, so really 3 months to go. So thank you all for that. That is huge. I always tell you that the number one thing you can do to support the show is tell other people about it. And when I'm telling you that I can see that you're doing that, this is what I'm talking about. We're just destroying our previous numbers. And we have grown every single year since we've started this show. And we've grown by significant percentages every single year too. So thank you for that. I do know that this is because of you guys and you guys sharing the show and telling people that we're out there. I see it. I see it on social media every now and then, and I can't imagine how much of that goes on outside of social media where I'm not able to see it. So thank you very much for doing that. Our sponsorships on the show, they are very strong. I've got other companies right now that are inquiring about advertising on this show, but I made a promise to you, and it's something that I intend to do. I intend to do business, I don't know how you would put it, a different way, or at least in my own way on this show. So I will only advertise for companies that I know, use, and trust, people that I would sit down with you in a coffee shop, just you and me, and I would go, yeah, you want to use these people. That's who I will advertise for. Does that limit me? It does. It does, but I don't mind. It doesn't bother me at all. So as a result, right now, Autumn, Hattie, and I are actually testing out products for 3 prospective advertisers. And I don't know if we'll end up advertising for any of these folks, but at this point, we have never, ever had products at our place that we're testing from this many prospective advertisers at one time. So I'm telling you that to reassure you that the state of our business is very, very good right now. There's lots of interest. The other aspects of our business are also going well. The D&B Supply Show is going very strong. The rest of my custom podcasting business is strong, and there's more work in the pipeline there for us, no question. All of our steers are under contract. The farm is where we want it to be. Autumn's job is going very well. She continues to succeed in her career in education. So there's no concerns on the business front here. There's no concerns that this show is going away. I'm not going back to work or anything like that, for another person. So please, if you were having concerns about that as I started out this episode, I just wanted to kind of get rid of those. They are not there. So here's really the question. And the question is, should the Off-Farm Income Podcast evolve? Now, I have been thinking about this for a while. This has been that thing that's kind of been in the back of my mind. So let me tell you what I mean when I say evolve. I'm going to start off by telling you that I have devoted this show to the topic of entrepreneurship and small business and agriculture for 5 years and now 700 episodes. And 99% of those episodes that I've ever published have been on the topic of entrepreneurship in agriculture. My intention when I started the show was to provide all of you the tools that you would need to support your farming endeavors through entrepreneurship. That was the goal of this show when I first started it. And in a lot of ways, this show has evolved already by the addition of additional episodes, inclusion of the FFA, if you were with me right at the very beginning, all of that. So I've already evolved in some ways in the show, but I think what I'm thinking about doing would be the biggest evolution of all for the show, and I want to come to you with this. So like I always say, I really believe that we need to teach, we need to use entrepreneurship and to be able, we need to teach and be able to use entrepreneurship on our farms so it enables us to buy farm ground where the cost of farm ground reflects its production capability. It gives you the best chance of succeeding as a farmer. And of course, I always talk about using entrepreneurship to support your farms with your off-farm income because it gives you a flexible schedule and allows you to be on your farms when you need to be to help you succeed. And it may be the only way you can make money in areas where you can get farm ground that you can afford, that you can actually have a chance of making a profit on, especially if you're going to be in a commodity-based model, a production agriculture model. So that's why I push entrepreneurship. That's why I've always pushed entrepreneurship. And of course, I still believe that. And I still want to be a voice or the voice for entrepreneurship in agriculture. And that, no matter what happens as a result of this show or this idea, entrepreneurship in that will always be the foundation of this show, of the Off-Farm Income Podcast. With that said, being devoted specifically to entrepreneurship is also a limiting factor for the show. I've had a number of people approach me with great stories, great topics that they thought I should profile on the show over the last 5 years, and I've rejected them because they didn't fit into the parameters that I'd set up for this show, the parameters of entrepreneurship that we set when we first launched 5 years ago. So when I say evolution of this show to you, when I picture an evolution of the Off-Farm Income Podcast, I'm picturing a show that covers a broader array of stories about agriculture, about farming, about ranching. Now, this does not mean that if we were to evolve in this way that we would no longer profile great and inspirational agricultural entrepreneurs. That would absolutely still be part of what we would do. But it would mean that I would also cover other interesting farming stories that were outside of the scope of entrepreneurship, outside of the scope of, I should say, using small business to create off-farm income, because of course agriculture and farming is all entrepreneurship, but I think you know what I mean. So instead of hearing about entrepreneurship every Friday, you would hear about other topics, other stories as well. It would broaden my ability to go out and capture interesting content and create it. So here's my current vision, and this is what I want to share with you. And this is kind of what I'm seeing in my own mind right now. So I would continue to, if we made these changes, I would continue to interview FFA students on Mondays and on Wednesdays, but I would be bringing you all sorts of stories about the FFA, not just entrepreneurship SAEs. Now, rest assured, if you like my FFA episodes, they are not going away. I love doing the interviews with the FFA students. Those are definitely not going away. This is a thrill every single week. I would also keep my Tuesday episodes, and these would stay 100% or at least 99% solo episodes. I throw in that 99% because I want to give myself just a little freedom to bring a guest on a Tuesday episode if I need to. But, of course, I make these shows for those of you who like to hear just me. You want to get caught up on what's going on with our family, with our farm, and things like that. But I want to reserve that right if I'm like, no, this guest would be great for this episode. I want to reserve that right to do that if I'm compelled to do so. So with that, this just leaves Friday episodes. Now, I guess there is a change there if I start profiling a wider array of FFA students and not just entrepreneurship SAEs. But really, the big evolution I'm thinking of here involves our Friday episodes, like you're listening to right now. So I would continue to publish episodes with guests 99% of the time on Fridays, so just the opposite of Tuesdays, but leaving me at least the opportunity to do a solo episode on a Friday if I need to or if I think I want to. But now I would go from focusing in on just agricultural entrepreneurs to looking at a wide variety of agriculturally related topics. And this would be the main part of the evolution. No question about it. It would be the Friday episodes, which is the original episode. The original way this show started out was this Friday episode. And this would be, what this would be is it would be this show after 5 years and 700 episodes. It would be this show transforming from a very specialized and niched podcast to a more general show about agriculture. And this would be me transforming from a person who started a podcast to teach others how I had been able to create a lifestyle that kept me on my farm into a professional agricultural broadcaster who can cover topics outside of his niche. That's why I call it an evolution. Now, I talk about this a lot on my new show, Microphone Money, where I'm teaching people how to build a podcasting business in the way I've built mine. And I talk about starting with a niche podcast and then building your platform, building your reputation, developing your abilities and getting to the point where you can go into what I refer to as your industry umbrella and speak on broader topics. I think it takes time. I think you start with the niche podcast to build up to that point. Now, that's not why I started the Off-Farm Income podcast. That is what I've learned by going through this process and starting the Off-Farm Income podcast. And I am looking now at the network I have around the country. I'm looking now at the people who are talking about this show on social media. I'm looking at now when somebody puts out a post on Facebook or somewhere else and says, hey, what are some good agricultural podcasts for me to listen to? And I got people from around the country saying Off-Farm Income, and I'm like, wow, that is great. Or I did a Tuesday episode 2 weeks ago, and I mentioned a business in Boise. I did not link to it. I didn't do anything like that. And then just the other night on Facebook, I got a mention from that business, hey, thanks for the shout out. Well, that means somebody who's familiar with that business listened to that entire episode and forwarded it to him and said, hey, he's talking about you, which is very cool to me. That is really, really cool. And so I'm feeling like I'm ready to go maybe to the next level and start a show that's not, and I shouldn't say start a show, transform my show into something that's not niched, but is something that's more broad and general. I feel like now with the support of all of you, I have the ability to do that if I want to do that. That's a big leap. If I sound a little nervous in this episode, it's because I am, because who knows where this is going. Anytime there's something that's transformational, it's bound to put butterflies in your stomach. And I wouldn't have said I had butterflies in my stomach till I clicked the microphone on and started talking to all of you. So that's what I'm thinking. That's kind of where my vision is right now. So I think there's a question that has to be answered when I bring this up. And that question is, what about the entrepreneurs? Am I abandoning those folks who want to learn how to use entrepreneurship so they can go out and they can farm and they can succeed in farming, especially in our current economy, both our agricultural economy and our economy in general, that demands that you have some form of income coming in from off the farm. And, 80 to 90% of all farming endeavors, one way or another. And this is the question that I've given the most thought to because I really am devoted to helping people. That is what's driven me. That's what got this show started. And that is why I get to do what I do today, is because of this one idea to help people be able to do this. And so this is where I feel the most responsibility. There's no question about that. And I've been thinking about this for a long time. If I was to make a transition, if I was to make a change, what about those folks that I set out to help? Am I abandoning them? Am I bailing on them? And by the way, this is not the first time I've had to think through this, because certainly when I left police work to go out and run my own business, there was definitely a little bit of guilt there. Like, am I bailing on my community to do something just for me? So it's not the first time I've had this thought, and maybe it's just me. Maybe this is the way my mind works, but it's a serious question for me. So here's what I've come up here. And by the way, again, I want your feedback on all this, and you can call BS on me on any of this. I want your feedback. But here's what I'm thinking when I ponder this question. I'm at a point now, let's say just a hypothetical. I'm at a point now that if for some reason tomorrow I had to go get a job and I had to go back to work for somebody and I had to give all of this up, I would feel like I had done something significant for those of you who want to use entrepreneurship to support your farms. Or people who need information or just inspiration or really just permission to go out and chase one of these crazy ideas to make it all happen for yourself. You need a cheerleader. You need somebody in your corner who says, no, that's a good idea. Go do it. That's me. I feel like I've done that if this all went away tomorrow. And of course, I started this show because of what I had been able to do. And because at the time, I couldn't find another show out there that was talking about this. When we started back in 2014, I was the only voice focused on this particular topic. And I'm still the only voice that is focused on this particular topic 5 years later. So there is some worry there. Like, am I bailing on the folks who need this information, who want to make this happen in this way? Well, here's why I feel like I'm at a point where this evolution can happen. Today, we've got a catalog of 700 shows. They can be accessed for free by anybody who wants to use entrepreneurship to support their farming dreams in this way. I've interviewed hundreds of guests who have revealed how they became entrepreneurs, how they make their businesses work, and who have offered advice for other people who want to follow in their footsteps. And all of this is available on my website in both audio and written format through my show notes. In addition to all of that, I am still here, still available as a coach or consultant. And if we do make this change, if we do make this transition, this evolution, I'm not done interviewing entrepreneurs, but they are going to be one aspect of the topics that I bring forward. Now, another question that would need to be answered if this evolution were to take place is, what about the name of the show? The show is called Off-Farm Income, which has a connotation that goes with business, has a connotation that goes with money. And can we stick with this title and broaden it? Can we make it apply to more? And I've thought about this too. As I always say at the start of my shows, this is my form of off-farm income. So the title makes sense in that respect, right? This is my business. This is how I'm supporting my farm. And off-farm income doesn't mean just entrepreneurship. I have co-opted this term and made it synonymous with the use of entrepreneurship. But certainly off-farm income comes from our spouses. It comes from our full-time jobs. It comes from investments in the stock market. It comes from many different places if you look at the way the USDA defines it. So can I continue with the same title? Now, I'm going to be very honest with you here, not to influence your opinions, but I want to keep the title. I like the title. The title means something to me. I'm definitely attached to it, and I like to hear people say it. Here's my question. This is some more of the input I want from you. If we keep the title, so first things first, if we decide to evolve in the way I'm describing it here, if we do that, and then if we keep this title, but we're not focused exclusively on entrepreneurship, is the title of the show being Off-Farm Income, is that going to confuse people who come to the show, but they might hear a story about, I don't know, somebody in agriculture creating a wetland or something like that? Is that going to confuse folks? That's the one concern I have with keeping the title. Other than that, I want to keep the title. But if all of you listening are out there going, no, that doesn't make any sense, it won't work, then please let me know. Please let me know. So everybody, I want your input. Outside of God, outside of my family, outside of those two things, there's really nothing more important to me than my relationship with all of you. I've got friends and family and all of that, but I love what we've got going on here. And so I don't want to do anything to damage that. But with that said, I don't know, as you do this for several years, all of a sudden you see things happening. You see things on the horizon and you go, wow, I think I can go there. And just because you can go there doesn't mean you should. But if you want to go there and you think you could go there, and it's an opportunity that I think is rare for a lot of people, then I think you should pursue it. And so that's where I'm coming to you from. I want to know where you're at with this. I don't want to damage this relationship. So you might be sitting there going, well, what if we say no? What if we say you need to stick with entrepreneurship? You need to stay limited in your scope on this show. Then, Matt, we don't want to limit you, but we don't think the show will survive, or this is what we're here for. If that's the case, say it. That's okay. That just means I've got to either take your advice or leave it, or I need to pivot. I need to find another way to maintain the integrity of this show within the parameters that we defined from the outset and do what I want to do otherwise. Maybe in an additional show or something like that. But the truth is I don't have a hole in my schedule right now to plug in a new show that needs the energy that I give to this show. And so that is why I'm asking this. I think this can evolve. I think it could be awesome. I'm not giving you an unbiased opinion. I'm giving you a very biased opinion. But what I do want is your very biased opinion back. So everybody, please do this for me, okay? Email me. There's many ways you can respond to this. You can email me. My email address is matt@offincome.com. You can write to me on the Facebook page. I've linked to that on the show notes on the website today. But the Facebook page title is Off Farm Income. Super simple. I've put a survey up, or just a quick poll up on the Off Farm Income Facebook page as well. You can select one of the two options I've put up there. And you can also call me and just leave me a voicemail and let me know what you think. The number to do that, if that's how you want to do it, is 208-298-1544. And honestly, that might be the easiest way for the majority of you to do this. If you're in a tractor right now, if you're in a pickup, wherever, you're sitting at your desk, honestly, if you could take the 30 seconds it would take to dial that number and leave me a voicemail and say, Matt, go for it. Or Matt, no, I want you to stick with what you're doing. Or Matt, I love hearing your stories about agriculture. I think it'd be great if you did more stories about agriculture that don't need to be just entrepreneurship based. Or I am here to learn how to run a business. Don't change, whatever. I would love it. 30 seconds is all I want from you guys. 208-298-1544. That is the number to call. Leave me a voicemail. Do it just right at this moment so you don't forget, because I know you got the best intentions, but you're also very busy just like I am, and things can slip away by the end of the day. 208-298-1544. Please, I would love your feedback on this. This is a big decision for me. I feel a huge obligation to you, and I want as much input from all of you before I make any changes whatsoever. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Now, I know I said no intros or outros, but I cannot finish an episode without saying, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.